All right, hey everyone. It's April the 13th, the year 2017, and it's Thursday, and I wanted to do an update video on Schuyler Barbeau. That's his address. I pray you guys take the time to write him a letter, write him an encouraging letter, let him know that we have not forgot about him, nor will we ever forget about him or turn our backs on him. He served as a Marine in the United States military. They have now tried to label him a domestic terrorist and associate him with ISIS. So I pray that you guys write him a letter and let him know that we care about him and we're not going to turn our backs on him. Also, it's a very important day for Schuyler tomorrow. I believe he's going to be asking the judge to go pro se. This is, I believe, something that was posted by his mom. My wife forwarded this to me. It says, via Stacy Barbeau, hearing for Schuyler Barbeau on Friday at 3 p.m. That would be tomorrow. It will be a very difficult one as he, Schuyler Barbeau, is asking the judge to go pro se and will be telling him just what he thinks of his attorney, who will be standing right next to him. Very awkward. But he's very determined. The judge may not grant this petition, though. Please pray, spread the news. Also, can anyone go? I need someone to go with, Stacy Barbeau. So if you're in Seattle and you can go to the courtroom or the courthouse and you can accompany Stacy Barbeau, I pray that you do that. I pray that you pack that courthouse, look up and find out, the address. I'm in Texas, so I won't be able to go. But if it was local in my area, I would take a day off work and I would accompany Stacy Barbeau. Schuyler has been blessed with one hell of a mother. May we all have moms like Schuyler Barbeau has. We talked about a variety of things tonight. One of them is Schuyler Barbeau heard of Laura Caldwell on Coast to Coast. He talked about the Innocence Project, and I don't know if you guys want to help reach out to Laura Caldwell if she would possibly take a look at Schuyler Barbeau's case. He believes in the Second Amendment. He took an oath to the Constitution. He defends liberty and freedom for this country. He believes shall not be infringed means exactly what it says. And so please continue to pray and write to Schuyler Barbeau. And if you know Laura Caldwell, he did mention her name. The other thing that we talked about is this is an article that Schuyler Barbeau wrote and Gary Hunt posted on his website. It's called Honor Bound, Not Enough. And you'll see down here in probably the the sixth paragraph, it refers to a KIRO 7 News out of Seattle, Washington, interviewed FBI agent Frank Montoya Jr. Well, first of all, he works for the FBI. That tells me he works for one of the most satanic, corrupt, reprobate, tyrannical, piece of garbage organizations on this planet. And I'm talking about the FBI. And the Department of Justice and the FBI have absolute devils working for him. And I'm not exaggerating. And Frank Montoya Jr. is an absolute devil. And I want to show you guys a news article they did about Schuyler trying to label him a domestic terrorist and relate him to ISIS. But in any event, I pray that you read this article. It's on outpostoffreedom.com. Click on Schuyler Barbeau section, and it'll take you right there. I'll put the link in the information bar as well. Schuyler Barbeau is a very articulate writer. His message, he takes, he's a very talented writer, and he writes about honesty, integrity, honor. He writes about fortitude, constitution, character, integrity. Nothing that FBI agent Frank Montoya would know about. But in any event, here is the KIRO 7 news article. It took me a while to find it, but I did find it. And I want to play you this video that's absolute hit piece on Schuyler Barbeau. And then maybe I'll print this off. And but let's listen to this video. And I'm going to have to silence my microphone and turn on the computer. So I'm going to silence the microphone now, and we'll try to get this video working.
FBI is watching here in Washington. The FBI says it's investigating people in our area who are communicating directly with terrorists. Good evening again. I'm Steve Rabel.
I'm Monique Minglavin. They are talking with ISIS, also referred to as ISIL. KIRO 7's Dave Wagner has a fascinating interview with the outgoing FBI agent in charge of the Seattle division.
Frank Montoya runs Seattle's FBI office. He doesn't want to cause alarm or panic, but he tells me he's concerned about aspiring terrorists here in Washington, both foreign and domestic. In a city often said to be sleepless,
there's a lot of cases that stay on my mind at night.
Frank Montoya may be taking sleep deprivation to a whole new level.
There's a lot of stuff that's potentially volatile out there.
The outgoing head of Seattle's FBI sees an undercurrent of potential terrorism.
There are individuals in this community who are either interested in traveling to Syria and Iraq to fight with ISIL, or to plot and plan terrorism here in this country. It's aspirational at this point.
Is there communication going on between those individuals and ISIL?
Yes.
There is. Direct communication?
Yes.
Using encrypted apps, the conversation between the aspiring and the converted has never been more difficult to trace.
The ease with which social media facilitates that communication has been a major challenge for us.
In February, Seattle's Joint Terrorism Task Force arrested Army deserter Daniel Franey on weapons charges at his home in Montesano. Investigators say he praised ISIL as the best people on earth and talked of plans to attack a Seattle area military base. It's just one of many potential terrorist threats being investigated by the FBI in Seattle.
It's been steady over the past 2 years, around a little over 100.
2 years ago, Hinda Osman-Durain was arrested in Kent. Investigators say she was funneling money to the al-Qaeda-linked extremist group Al-Shabaab in Somalia.
That's a lie. I can't believe that.
We're going to go into these neighborhoods. We're going to build relationships. Sometimes we're going to arrest people. That's, especially if they're plotting to commit an act of terror. I'm not saying that the Somalis are a problem. I'm saying that there are issues out there, there are challenges out there that affect all of us. Certain communities have been very sensitive about our activities relative to counterterrorism investigations. Our Muslim communities in general. There is a lot of rhetoric out there about how they are the cause of all of our problems in this country. Well, that's just absolutely untrue.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
When a presidential candidate calls for a ban on all Muslims, does that impact your ability to relate to a community here?
Absolutely. First of all, it scares those communities. They wonder what's going to happen next.
Do you think a ban on Muslims would be a good idea?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is the land, the home of the brave and the land of the free, right? The vast majority of these individuals, they're coming here to escape a worse place. It just creates more fear in our own population about so-called outsiders, so-called foreigners. Really, we're a nation of foreigners.
It's not just foreign threats on the FBI's radar.
Another individual on the domestic terrorism side of things, so not necessarily internationally terroristic in nature, but Schuyler Barbeau, someone that you're familiar with.
Are you, Schuyler, a danger as you've been portrayed to the public?
Not to the public. Only to those who wish to do harm.
Earlier this year, I spoke with Barbeau, who's being held on weapons charges in the federal prison at SeaTac.
I consider myself to be like a sheepdog against the wolves.
Barbeau is a former Army demolitions expert and bodyguard to Nevada rancher Cliven Bundy. He admits to threatening law enforcement and once called Oklahoma City bomber Timothy McVeigh my hero. In a recent letter to me, Barbeau says that statement was simply for shock and awe.
The only people I'm a threat to are people that have evil intents.
Frank Montoya isn't taking any chances.
Holy cow, about a third of the building has been blown away.
He investigated the Oklahoma City bombing.
It is something that challenges us every day.
Barbeau is part of the Patriot movement and says in his letter, the war is inevitable.
One of our biggest challenges is that this is a free country, that the First Amendment protects a lot of written and spoken behaviors, and rightly so, absolutely rightly so. But it sometimes makes it difficult for us to be able to draw that line.
Do you believe they're distorting the Constitution, and do you believe that they are a legitimate threat to this country?
Yes, they are distorting the Constitution, and yes, they can be a threat to this country.
As Frank Montoya says goodbye to the FBI, he's hoping for a better night's sleep and calm waters for the people on Puget Sound.
I don't want to alarm the community where there's no sense in alarming them, but it's also one of those things that could explode tomorrow. And I mean that literally as well as figuratively.
Frank Montoya has been with the FBI for 25 years. The man taking his place, J. Tab Jr., has a background in counterterrorism.
Upset neighbors in.
All right, you guys hear that? That's FBI Special Agent Frank Montoya, a reprobate piece of human garbage on a fast train to hell. He is responsible for the destruction of Schuyler Barbeau's life, but what he has intended for evil, God will use for good. There's a book that I would like for all of you guys to read. It's called The Terror Factory, Inside the FBI's Manufactured War on Terrorism by Trevor Aronson. Look, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I don't know if FBI Special Agent Frank Montoya has good intentions or not, but he has no right to put Schuyler Barbeau in prison for 10 years and to have a news piece to link a Marine, a United States military veteran that is a Marine, to link him with Al-Qaeda and ISIS is treasonous. And FBI Special Agent Frank Montoya is an absolute traitorous, treasonous piece of human garbage, as is most of the people working for the FBI and the Department of Justice. You can read a book called Licensed to Lie, Exposing Corruption in the Department of Justice by Sidney Powell. There is another book that exposes the Polar Pen Team and the corruption in the Department of Justice called Not Guilty, The Unlawful Prosecution of United States Senator Ted Stevens by Rob Carey. Those books will enlighten and educate you on how evil and how corrupt and how reprobate and degenerate and full of debauchery our law enforcement, FBI, and Department of Justice has become. They cover for each other, and they are absolutely not abiding by the Constitution. They are tyrannical minions who are propagating an agenda for the New World Order to destroy the Constitution. And it is men like Schuyler Barbeau and other P3s, Patriot political prisoners, and other patriots that are trying to stand in their way of just having absolute despotism within America. Praise God for men like Schuyler Barbeau. I pray that you show up in that courthouse tomorrow and accompany his mother. I pray that you write Schuyler Barbeau a letter. He does need an absolute miracle to not go to prison. And he's going to need an absolute miracle in that courtroom. Please keep Schuyler Barbeau in your prayers. Write him a letter. Tell all your friends about him. Don't turn our backs on Schuyler Barbeau or other patriots who need us now. Thank you for your time.